Hey guys, welcome back. As with most of my videos, the intention behind my message is to clear any mental blocks you have that are keeping you from going toward the life of your dream. If you don't already know, my full-time 9 to 5 is I'm a lab scientist. And I've been doing that for the last few years. I've come to this realization. See, when you are young and a broke college student, you pick a path that you think somewhat aligns with you. That's something good that's gonna make me a reliable amount of money and I can maybe grow from there. And what happens is, like, when you're brand new out of college, you have no experience, you are literally just dying to get in. You are dying to just make any kind of reasonable money to survive. That's your main goal and focus for a little while. And then you somehow figure it out, you get a connection, you fight your way in to the industry that you got your degree in, or you work your way up and you get experience even if you don't go to college. And I've known people who undertake this path even without the degree. My point is, that's your main focus. And then a little time passes and you're no longer the newbie with no experience that just was lucky enough to get your foot in the door. Now you know a little bit more. Now your resume looks a little bit nicer, and you start to realize the path forward in this career is you either need to get a better degree so that you can be someone who's more of the business side, or you can work your way up, become more specialized. I can work at a slightly higher rate, make slightly more money, do something that's slightly more important. You can move up in supervisory positions, but that's it. And the thing is, like, I have seen many people work in my current company at my current role for like 20, 30, 40, 50 years and either not be able to become a supervisor or choose not to. There are people who move up, but there are so many others who can't, because there are only so many positions opening up above. So what dawned on me is I could end up being like one of these people who just cares about money, who will take on 2 jobs to save up for a home or whatever it is that I'm thinking is like my next financial goal. Or I could be one of those people who spends a shit ton of money and time and effort improving my education, thinking one day I'll be whatever. I can still do that, but it doesn't really matter past a certain point. Like, if you have at least a couple of years of experience in your field, you can leave and come back, and you can still easily find a job because you have skills, maybe you have certifications. You can leave for a couple of years and come back. But it is so hard, and there are so few positions to really move up anywhere. And the thing is, like, if you currently don't absolutely love what you're doing, which most of us with a 9 to 5 do not, you becoming a supervisor is just a little bit more money, or a lot more money, whatever. More responsibility, more mental energy on top of what you already have. It doesn't just get better. Now you have to deal with people's bullshit. And you just start to realize at a certain point that no matter how high up you move, which again, it takes people sometimes decades of their life to be some sort of boss, some sort of managerial position. And what are you getting back from it? You know, is that small amount of money really enough? You could be in my position and work 1 full-time, 1 part-time job, or 2 full-time jobs and be making the exact same amount of money that one supervisor makes, but that supervisor has to work from home on their days off and answer calls and always be available to any of the bullshit and the issues, and they're under even more of a microscope and they're held more liable. You just start to realize that position is always going to be there. Like, not the specific one that you have right now. You might lose that wonderful schedule or those extra days of PTO of benefits that you have, but what you can't do is ever be this young again. What you can't do is ever have the inspiration, the desire, the ideas, and the energy that you have right now. If you are making any kind of reasonable money with a passion outside of your 9 to 5, If there's something else you want to do in life, and especially if you have any considerable amount of savings to get you through some sort of extended break, if you have the discipline to follow through on a plan that you have set forth for yourself, just go ahead and do it. Work part-time only and do this full-time. So do 40 hours a week on this passion project that you have, and do 20 hours a week just to keep a little bit of money coming in. Cut down your expenses. Form a plan. Maybe you don't need the nicest car that you think you do, that you have right now. If you are an employee, especially if you are like most of us in the United States, hired at an at-will basis, meaning you can quit at any time, they can fire you at any time for pretty much any reason. Besides the protection of unemployment, which is only gonna pay you, what is it, like half of your income that you make right now, with limitations, meaning you can't even be on it like forever. And while you're doing that, you aren't getting any benefits. If you're on unemployment, you aren't saving money for retirement. If you can even survive on that amount, you are literally just throwing away your time and your potential as an employee. If you have another passion, another idea, if you can easily replace the amount of money that you need to survive doing something else, form a plan and make it happen. Try now. Try now that you're young, especially if you don't have kids yet. Do it now before you reach the point where you have no other alternative and you need 100% of your income because you have multiple people to take care of, where you don't have any of the free time or energy that you currently have right now. That job will always be waiting for you. And like I said, I'm coming at this message from my personal perspective. I have seen people leave thinking they can get a better position somewhere else, realizing they didn't like those work situations as much, and coming back a year or two later. It's so easily done. And now you're gonna tell me, oh, but there's gonna be a gap in my resume. You can fill that in with entrepreneurial attempt, whatever. You could fill that in with had a life circumstance. You could literally make something up and say, oh, I had to take care of a sick relative for a year or two, and that situation is different now, and so I'm back here ready to work because everything in my personal life has been taken care of. That's it. And they don't have the right to ask for proof or question you on many of these personal issue things. You can just leave, and you have the resume already, you have the experience already. A job will be there for you now. It will be there in 10 years, but what you are not going to have any longer is your youth, is your free time, is your passion, your ideas, your young and fit body that is capable of handling 2 full-time jobs or a full-time and a part-time job. So if you see an idea of something new, something interesting, something that sparks a fire in you, something that makes you feel more awake, more alive, just go for it now. That job is always gonna be there. It's never gonna get any easier or better than this moment right now. Stop being afraid to jump, thinking that this is gonna lead to some financial ruin. If you have a plan, have you cut down your expenses to where you're not wasting money on a bunch of shit you don't need? How expensive is your car? Do you really need such a large place to live? Could you rent out the first floor of your home if you have a home? Do you really need such a large apartment? Do you need a brand new Tesla? No, you do not. You need a car to get you from point A to point B that works reliably. That's it. You can do these things. You can make a plan. You can set a budget. Say, I'm gonna save up until I hit this amount because this is the amount that I need to get me through any kind of emergencies and to get me through this amount of time. And then when I get there, I'm gonna focus on selling my art. I'm going to focus on whatever it is. And when it starts to make you money and you can actually depend on it, then find a part-time job. I can meet my very basic needs on this, even though I can't pay for any of the extras, but there's money coming in from this other thing that I love, and I actually enjoy my life and I enjoy doing that, and I am disciplined enough. I have proven to myself time and time again for the last 6 months to a year or even multiple years that I keep coming back to this, that I become consistent at it, that I enjoy it, I'm not gonna fall off, I'm gonna hold myself accountable, I'm gonna have the discipline to keep going after it, then you just jump. You jump in, you go for it, full force, you do 40 hours in that and 20 hours to meet your basic needs at this part-time job, and you find ways around it. If somehow you can't find the exact job that you're doing now to pay you part-time, to give you a part-time role, find something else that takes less time. Learn to live on less money. Go after this passion. Save up enough to get you through a period of time. You have no clue what this endeavor can lead to. You can always apply and find a similar position if you already have a reasonable resume. It's not going to be like once you quit, then there's going to be no company in that field ever again anywhere within a couple of hours, and you're gonna have to move out of state across the country and leave your whole family behind just to make barely above minimum wage. That's not true. In these jobs that are at will, people come and go all the time, which means, especially if you have a good track record, if you left on good terms with the company especially, you can easily be like, hey old supervisor, do you need anyone? And if not, do you know anyone who needs anyone? Because I'd be interested in coming back. I loved my time with you. I took care of some personal business and I'm here ready to come back. Please let me know if you can help me. Your old coworkers, people who you had connections with, anyone that you know on a somewhat friendly basis. Hey, do you know anyone who's hiring? You know what? Matter of fact, they may even get a bonus from getting you to go into the company or from getting you to go into a different company that they're now at. And they are actually financially incentivized to help you. The way that you got in the first place, you can do that again. You're not going to be 20 something again. You're not even going to be 30 something again. You will be one day 50, 60, thinking about retirement and how you never did anything that you felt passionate about. You just survived the job. You just brought home a paycheck and tried to enjoy your 8 free days of the month. That's gonna suck a lot more. That's what you should really be afraid of, instead of just being afraid, oh no, what if I can't get my 9 to 5 schedule Monday to Friday with my 30 days of PTO per year again? What if I lose that? And I have to work night shift for a month or two to make it by evening shift. Tell me, isn't your whole life worth more than having to put up with a shit schedule for like a couple of months, 6 months, a year at most? Isn't your whole entire life potentially being exactly what you want worth more than like a year or less, oftentimes much less, of doing things that you don't want to do? If you somehow have to go back, you just have to do it. If you think to yourself like there's no question of if, it's going to, it's just when, and you plan your steps accordingly, it's never gonna get better than that. All right, I want to do a little thought experiment with you guys. How much money do you currently put away? Is it $500? Is it $0? Let's say hypothetically you are one of these people who lives well below your means, you know how to keep a good budget, and you save $2,000 post-tax money every single month. That equals $24,000 in a year. Let's say you went after your dream for just 1 year. Right now you may be worried about losing that money, especially like I said, if you're someone who lives well below your means so that you're able to save this much because you want to be well set up for retirement. If you had $24,000 in a standard 401k, and let's say your employer is generous enough to offer you like a average 5% match on your 401k. That's going to be an extra $5,000 for this year that you're taking off, that you're going to be losing out on, plus the $24,000 that you put away if you put away all your money into your 401k. That means $29,000 if you are 40 years old at most, and you're going to retire in the next 25 years. That money is going to grow, and I'm literally calculating it as we speak, to $125,000 total. Now you say that's a lot, but in 25 years, $125,000 is only going to be worth around $60,000 due to inflation. What you're losing out on is $200. That's $200 a month for the remainder of your working years. Tell me, how much do you currently spend already on things that you don't need, that aren't really that important to you? But how important to you is it that for the rest of your life, especially if you're a younger person, and especially if you are not able to put away this much money, if you are not in such a secure position. Most of us cannot put away $2,000 in a month. That's a lot. So half that amount. That's to live the life that you want on your terms and make your dreams happen, just giving yourself the chance. And if somehow, God forbid, this were to not work out, that's what you're losing out on. But you're not going to live the rest of your life wondering, what if I only tried? Now you're going to know, and you're going to live in peace saying, I gave myself the chance, things didn't work out, but I tried it, or I realized it wasn't for me. If you don't let yourself just go after these things that you want, and you just keep holding yourself back, living in fear, you're never gonna know that maybe you're not actually missing out on anything. Maybe you're actually better off right here, right now. You're never gonna realize that, and you're never gonna get to that place of happiness, of really feeling like you're choosing your life, if you don't let yourself take the chance to even find out. So with that being said, go after it already.